Merry Christmas 2019. We have been in South Carolina for over a year now and have settled into life in the mountains. Though it was a struggle adjusting to moving from big city living to isolation and solitude, I have found peace. But it didn't happen quickly. There are challenges that come with living in the woods, and running to the store real quick is not even a thing. And the walk to the nearest neighbor's house is 12 minutes door to door. You really have to make an effort to interact with others, and if you don't, there's a chance you may never see a person ever again. Seclusion is new to me, but it's why most folks live here to begin with. Everyone on the mountain knows everyone or is related to someone, and the road they live on is likely their last name. I've learned to embrace the culture and find myself anxious at the thought of going to a mall. While I don't use as much fuel as I once did driving all over town, the gas money is now redirected to Amazon.com, who brings me all the things that I need, and probably a lot that I don't. I enjoy my chats with Miss Wanda, the post office lady, and have found a trustworthy and reliable mechanic. I wave to oncoming cars and always know if it's a local when they wave back. I love that just down the mountain to Walhalla, there's a place we've all seen in the Hallmark movie, with the main street lined with mom and pop shops. You can count on them all being closed on Sunday, but when I'm there, I almost always see a familiar face. At this time of year, the town tree is lighted and garland and wreaths stretch across the 4-lane. I spent many hot summer days at the city pool or at the lake at the state park. We can go fishing at the river from countless access points, and I almost always see a whitewater rafting crew. Randy's kids came for the summer, and they enjoyed that too. It's really hard for me to read this because my paper is dark, and so is the room. It was inevitable that we would get got by the Baptists, and that's exactly what happened. While I took Zeph to the park to play, we met the Cashins, who invited us to Wednesday night youth program, and soon thereafter we found a permanent spot in the Sunday pew. Sunday school is for all ages, and the worship service begins with a children's message, where each week a different kid brings something from home placed into a tackle box. Rick Moxley manages to relate that doll baby or Q-tip to the love the Lord has for us. Zeph has taken every opportunity. He has taken every opportunity as he sits dead center in the front of the church to offer insight as to the matter at hand about whatever it is that's on his mind in that box. No, that's not what it says. To whatever it is that's in that box or on his mind that morning. The old folks are tickled by his innocent wisdom. However, he has a knack for trailing off and has somehow gotten on the subject of Deadpool right there in church. Which, by the way, he has not ever seen. I suppose he comes by honestly, his inability to hush. I'll own it. We've made many friends, and the relationships that continue to form are invaluable, so I'm thankful for that day in the park. We experienced our very first Hillbilly Day on the 4th of July, Mountain Rust's biggest to-do, Mountain Rust's only to-do. Just about all the revenue from the community, comes from Hillbilly Day, and thousands of people come to see. There's bluegrass music, barbecue, handmade ice cream, local vendors, sack races, a greased pig, and a greased pole that if you can manage to shimmy to the top of, you can grab that $100 bill waiting at the top on a nail. In addition, there's a group of ladies who hand quilt the yearly raffle quilt, and at their booth was a quart jar of buttons where for $1 you could place your guess as to how many buttons were in that jar, and Zeph wanted to give it a shot. He stepped back, considered it, and pointed to the 1,500 milliliter marker as he told Randy, "I want this number, but with an 8. So Randy wrote down 1,800 for him. Later that afternoon, we got a phone call, and Zeph won. You're supposed to look at your audience, and you're my audience, except for I'm having a real hard time keeping track of where I am. I'm looking for my place. I've lost my place. I'll just start over where I remember. Okay, so where for $1 you could place your guess as to how many buttons were in that jar, and Zeph wanted to give it a shot. He stepped back, considered it, and pointed to the 1500 milliliter marker as he told Randy, I want this number, but with an 8. So Randy wrote down 1800 for him. Later that afternoon, we got a phone call and Zeph won. We walked into the Mountain Rest Community Club, and behind door number 2 was a room full of old women and a bunch of fabric, and my eyes got wide. I said, y'all make the raffle quilt. Miss Paulette said yes they did, as she handed Zeph his newly won jar of buttons, as well as a red, white, and blue table runner. I asked if I could join their club, and she said sure, and then asked, do you sew? I said no. Which one do you want to teach me? That's when she told me to just come to the meeting on Tuesday. When I arrived the next week, I sat down and Miss Paulette said, we've discussed it and I'm going to teach you how to sew. I was so excited. I started collecting uniforms in 2003 when I joined the Navy because someday I was going to make a quilt. And 16 years later, it begins. Miss Paulette ended up not only teaching me to sew, to teach me to quilt, but has become my friend. The quilting ladies are all in their 70s, and the oldest, Miss Florence, is 92. These ladies have shared with me their knowledge and wisdom about quilting and about life. I love my Tuesdays with my old ladies, and they are the reason I have thrived this year. They've helped me find a place on my mountain. I've made 3 quilts so far and learned a lot of lessons, all the hard way. I've discovered quilting and buying fabric are 2 very different hobbies, and that I have no self-control. I love the colors, and I'm really good at choosing them. Remember that art degree? I use it every day. My creativity is not limited to fabric, though. This year, Randy helped me build myself a desk for my office/craft room, as well as a sewing table. My heart has been in this sewing thing for a long time. Last year, my dad gave me some money for Christmas, and I bought a sewing machine. I built that sewing table over the winter and bought every sewing notion I thought I might need. And then in July, I met Miss Paulette. Collect the things and the people and then the skills. It was all meant to be, I think. Meanwhile, I'm the proud owner of the newly established Chattooga Ridge Honey Farm. We are keepers of bees. Randy stumbled upon an opportunity to attend beekeeper school, and I followed suit. So my full-time gig is hustling honey and making jam. I started with the Deer Lake Blackberry and got rave reviews, so now that's my thing. Bees and jam and quilts. I'm living the dream. Randy is thoroughly enjoying retirement. However, make no mistake, he is always working. We have chickens, turkeys, ducks, cats, and a new puppy, Moxie Crime Fighter, who all live outside. And of course, bees. Our apiary is thriving, and we expect to have 4 times more hives next year as we did this year. So I've got your honey, honey. As a member of the local American Legion Honor Guard, he has rendered honors at 66 funerals this far for past local veterans. He was also appointed senior deacon for the 2020 Masonic year. In addition, he is the president-elect for the Oconee County Beekeepers Association, where he will serve as vice president for 2020 and be appointed president in 2021. For someone who wanted to move to the middle of nowhere, keep a low profile, and not talk to anyone, he sure got himself into a lot. It sounds like he's about this close from serving on the board of directors for the local community club or something else real silly. We should see. Zeph turned 7 years old this month and has taken, Zeph turned 7 years old early this month and has had his very first real birthday party. I took him and his friends to Paint Pottery, where all the kids made gifts for someone in their life. It was a win-win. He's in 1st grade now and doing great. It amazes me to watch him build and create. He can't get his hands on enough Legos and always wants the kind with constructions. I show him. I can read. Let's try again. Okay. He can't get his hands on enough Legos and always wants the kind with constructions that show him exactly what to do. He follows along and loves to show me what he's made. He has an ability to plan and express the thoughts in his young mind, always wanting to build something, and it's always elaborate and for a purpose. I think I have a little engineer on my hands. The boy is destined for great things. He's good at math and problem solving and loves to ask questions about how things work. He too has found his place, making friends at church and at school. There's often little voices hollering, "Hey, Zeph!" wherever we are out and about. I enjoy watching him make his own name for himself in this little place we have settled into. We are tucked back deep in the woods, off the beaten path, and where the rocky road, as Zeph calls it, keeps both my car and my boots dusty. But it's welcoming, comfortable, and most importantly, has become home. From our house to yours, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year too.